Hasegawa Sensei. He's our faculty member, lecturer, and his background is he is come from mountain priest, Yamabushi のご出身で、多分もしかしたら後でちょっとその話もしてもらおうと思ってるんですけど、一橋では多分そういうちょっと僕とは違うタイプのヨガを多分教えてらっしゃると思います。で、それとあともう一人はそのですね、その望月さんとお名前何でしたっけ？上田さん、アシスタント授業でやってる方と、あともう一人、もともと国際部で、今ちょっと、木松先生いらっしゃいましたね。秋葉弘子先生、ちょっと40分議論に今日は参加していただこうと思って、はい、秋葉弘子先生で、秋葉先生もアメリカのご経験があって、その後に今、一橋の国際部、今、証券にいらっしゃるんですよ。で長年こういう国際交流とかもそういうのをいろいろやってくださった先生で、ヨガもちょっとご経験があるんで、今日はちょっと参加していただこうと思いました。So those are our, crew today.
Okay. Oh, great. So I guess I'll just sit here in the middle. Let me see. Maybe can I just prop this up over here? You don't have to do anything. Just that'll just stay there. And just that'll be cool. Okay. Thank you. I think. Let me just check. Yeah, that should be fine. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay. So, Toshi-san, so we'll just start in English, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just the rule. 今日は基本的にこの前のリザさんとかとディーパさんと同じように英語でやります。So we're gonna have this session in English like we did last time with Lisa and Deepa, but we talk about yoga, Yoga Sutra, Aikido, and some of the philosophy maybe, and that could be a little bit more complicated or difficult. So if you don't understand, raise your hand, and I'm happy to translate. Otherwise, we keep going English. 基本的に英語で行くんですけど、なんか大事なところで分かんなかった人は手を挙げていただければ、そこは日本語に訳します。でなければ、大体ここ割と皆さん、この前の授業の時も大丈夫だったんで、英語の中心でやりますので、よろしくお願いします。
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
So, hello everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so far so good with the English. My name is Zorie Barber. My name comes from an Italian name, Rosario Barbera. When my family came from Italy to America, they changed it. But in Japanese, Zorie desu. Geta janai, kutsu janai, Zorie dake. Okay? How many people here had a chance to watch the film? You watched half of it? You watched half of it? Okay, so most people got to see it. Okay, you guys didn't get to see it. Okay. So, like Toshi-san said, we did, Yoko-san and I did the subtitles in about 5 days. So she translated the whole movie, and I placed it on the screen. So sometimes it's a little too fast. That's my fault, not her fault.
Thank you.
Okay? So that's my fault. I think I'd kind of like to just start today with questions. We can talk about yoga, we can talk about martial arts, Aikido, we can talk about meditation, we can talk about filmmaking. But I think once I get a sense of what your interests are, we can see what the best thing for us to talk about is. So I saw that you all had some questions that you emailed. They're very interesting questions, but I think it's important maybe just to ask them in the room. So does anyone want to ask a question first?
Just tell them, since this is the beginning. 今言ったのは、一応今日皆さん、E メールで質問をしてくれた人がたくさんいるんですけど、ちょっと始める前に、今日どんなトピックを話すかっていうのをもうちょっと知りたいので、皆さんにちょっと質問をいくつかしてください。で、それをもとに話したいです。So please ask questions.
Yeah.
Anyone? You guys all have questions?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask about, it's both about the film and about yoga in general, I guess. At the beginning of the film, there's a lot of technology, words which are connected with technology. So you talk about operating systems and what's it called, automated suits. Your body is your best So I thought that this was very interesting that you're connecting yoga, which is something very, very profound and very old, with modern technology. And I would like to ask you, what is your understanding or maybe your vision of yoga, like in the context of the rapidly developing technology today?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. And honestly, I didn't really think about that when I was making the film. Like those sort of voiceovers I used to help get people into the story, but I wasn't thinking about it in a technological sense at the time. But I think it's a great question. First, it's, I think, for meditation, for yoga, for Budo, for anything like that with the body arts, a lot of what happens is invisible. Like you can't see it. You can't see meditation, right? You can't see what's happening in the inner body with yoga, unless you maybe have a very special second sight or vision. So when sharing ideas about yoga or meditation or Buddha, or really anything, any idea you're trying to share, you're really sharing it through metaphor. And I think that we're living in a time when everyone's familiar with software, everyone's familiar with hardware, and the idea that those are two things that function together is very useful. I think it's, in some ways you can talk about yoga as recoding your software, but it's also reprogramming your hardware. But the key point, especially with the intelligent spacesuit part, is the idea that we are not, in fact, our body, but we're also not our mind. And this body that we have does have some intelligence. Like, for example, if I cut myself, I don't have to think heal. It's going to happen automatically. Now, how it's going to happen, nobody knows yet. The other thing, and this is my personal sort of thing, is that, the Yoga Sutra is maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years old, they say. Probably written down about 3,000 years ago. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Vedas. So there's some of the oldest books on earth. They are maybe written 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago in India. And in some of those stories, they in fact talk about spaceships. So we think we're the most advanced technology today. I mean, who knows? But that's a different. But personally, I think that's kind of fascinating. We're very proud of our advanced technological society, and yet at the same time, we're kind of trained in American culture, I think Japanese culture too in many ways, we're trained to think that everything happens randomly. Right? That's a worldview. Like in a way, yoga is a worldview, right? And the primary worldview of science today is accident, right? We're here, they say, because of accident. Evolution is a bunch of accidents, right? Everything's random. But no one's really believed that in all of our history. No one ever thought that. Like the yogis don't think that, they think it's karma. The Christians don't think that, they think there's an all-powerful God. So it's a really weird sort of time we're living in with worldview. I don't know if I answered your question. Okay. All right, well, we can all go home now.
I know you have many questions.
I mean, if people are uncomfortable.
Yeah. So, I think your movie was related to yoga and Japan, also Japan.
Yes.
So my question was, how come did you decide to make a film about yoga? So, I would like to know about your experience about yoga or in Japan.
So why is there Japan in my yoga movie?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. So he asked the same question at the screening, and I thought about it a little bit more since then. And there's a few different answers. I mean, so this film I adapted from a novel, from a book. And the actual book takes place in India 1,000 years ago. So this is my first film directing, and India is a very difficult place to make a movie. Maybe the electricity only works 3 or 4 hours a day. You need electricity to make a movie. In India, you can't really eat too much either. You need to eat. And also to make a film, a period piece, a film 1,000 years ago, is also a different challenge. So making a period piece in India, I thought was too much. Also, the whole book takes place in one space. The whole book takes place in the jail. And I thought for audience members, it's going to be very boring. I mean, I don't think it's not impossible, but for me as a first-time director to make one film in one space is very challenging. So I needed to so I had a couple problems. One, India is difficult. Two, I need to get the camera out of the jail to make it visually interesting. So when I was adapting the novel, I thought we have the girl teaching the police captain, right? But then maybe we can flash back and get out of the jail visually and see when the girl was taught the lessons by her teacher. Am I going too fast or is this okay?
皆さん大丈夫？すごく早すぎると思う人。ちょっとゆっくりしてほしいです。大丈夫ですか？
I can certainly slow it. It's okay. Okay.
ダメ？
いや、学生さんどうかなと思って。
少しゆっくり。A
A little slower. Okay, no problem. So, so to solve those problems, I took the novel and I made it today, present day, and I made it in the United States. And then when it came to the flashbacks, when I originally wrote the script, they weren't just in Japan. They were all over the world, but also in different times. For example, there's one flashback where they go to Ireland 400 years ago, and he's teaching her in the past life, right? So I shot a few of these past life parts, but they weren't working as well as I liked. And I also shot the things in Japan. I really liked the stuff in Japan. Visually, it was great. It helped the story.
When you say past life, not this life, but
No,
previous.
past life. Maybe go copy that mind.
Yeah. So you're talking about reincarnation.
Reincarnation, yeah.
I just want to explain because
Yeah,
they
those
don't
are-
know about this, Gita or any of those yet. In yoga, or some of the Indian ancient, those stories, there's a thing about you have a previous life, and that's past life he's talking about, not the present life.
Yeah.
Just for your information, when he said, 輪廻転生じゃないんだけど、今生きてる前の世の中があって、そのことをパストライフと言ってるんです。
So, and part of what I was trying to show in that was that the relationship between teacher and student is not just one life. It's very long, many lives. And that's also Buddhism too. So same.
Yeah, and then we haven't covered that in this class yet, but there's a thing about yoga and some of the Indian ancient, story about those past lives for your information.
So to answer, and also I like Japan. So it's no problem, right? And I wanted to show that yoga today, people hear yoga, they think India, right? But yoga, you can probably learn yoga more easily in Japan or in America than you can learn yoga in India. It's very difficult to live in India. The yoga they practice is different also. So I think for people like us, learning yoga in our culture is possible. Make sense? So I wanted to sort of take yoga out of India and show it in America, show it in Japan, and show it's still yoga. The yoga is not just, funny costume, Okay? Yeah, you're welcome.
It's just that this is connected to what
That's
you've
fine.
just been talking about. So yeah, when I was watching the film, I actually thought about this, like why the main character is so passive in a way from a storytelling perspective. Like basically she spends most of the time of the film in the jail, barring the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about why is this way? And you talked about how you were adapting this from an original source. And I guess that puts some maybe limitations on what you could do in terms of a film. Are there any other maybe difficulties or struggles that you had with adapting? You said it's a text from like 1,000 years ago?
No, well, the story, the text is written in maybe 20 years ago,
Okay.
15 years ago, but the
But the
story
story
takes
is-
place 1,000 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah.
Were there any more like difficulties or challenges with adapting a text to a screenplay to a film?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to adapt a novel to film because basically novels can be very long. You can have a lot of information. For example, the novel I adapted is called How Yoga Works, and it's a maybe 600-page book. And in the book, many of the different lessons or ideas from the Yoga Sutra are presented. And in a movie, maybe like 20 or 30 important core elements of the Yoga Sutra are presented in a way that you can understand. In the movie, maybe it's possible to share two. It's just that the space, the time just compresses so much. Another big challenge is that in the novel, it's not only the girl in jail. There's also a guy in jail too. And it turns out he's from the Indian royal family. He's a prince. So you have this whole royalty theme, that he's actually going to become the king of the country, and yet now he's learned yoga and compassion from his cellmate. That was very difficult to adapt to Western culture. What I did was, in my original screenplay, I took the Indian royal family and I made them Native American. So actually Indian. So you see the one Indian who's drinking all the time, he's always drunk, right? So in the screenplay, I had his sister in the movie, and he's going to be an Indian chief. But again, there's the time in the movie is just, it doesn't allow so much, so most of that got cut out of the final film. It's not too fast, it's okay?
Anyone ask question in Japanese to be fair with some of you? 日本語で聞きたい人いる？日本語で質問ある人？今がチャンスです。日本語でしたい人。
東京弁わからへん。
No one? Okay, then back in English. 哲、なんかある？質問どうぞ。Question, 哲？I know, I thought I'd have your question too, but I don't want to read it.
I think it's nice when people ask their questions.
Yeah, I know, so I have it, but I don't want to read it. Hi, English or Japanese? あ、どうぞ。So he was talking about, there's many yoga philosophy, using yoga, but how did you learn about it? Or what opportunity?
So
we didn't talk about your background.
Yeah. So I really got into yoga through Aikido, through Budo. So I was practicing Aikido.
Maybe maybe this is a good time to maybe share your background.
Okay.
Maybe where you come from.
Yeah.
So people have an idea.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I grew up in Philadelphia, and I went to university in New York City. I went to New York University Film School. I started working on films then. But after my first year at New York University Film School, I left, and I moved to Kyoto to study Aikido. So I lived there for about a year practicing Aikido. And one of my sensei at the dojo also practiced Ashtanga yoga. So I saw a connection there. And then when I came back to America, I finished film school, continued to practice Aikido, but then I wanted to sort of cross-train. So I started practicing yoga to cross-train, basically. And then around that time, I started a new movie screenplay, and it was about a Westerner, an American, who finds himself suddenly in his past life. And he's in his past life during like the Jiraigeki era. But I knew nothing about past lives. So within like 2 weeks of me starting this story, a friend of mine invited me to this class called The Proof, of past and future lives. And it was taught by a Tibetan Buddhist monk. And the book he was teaching from was a book called the Abhidharma Kosha, which is a 1,000-year-old book that gives a logical proof of why past and future lives must exist. So I started studying that and putting that into the film that I was writing at the time. Everyone understand?
なんか今のところで質問ある人ここまで。
質問よりも分かったかどうか。
分かったかどうかっていうか。
So maybe we have to do a little more translating. I don't know.
なんかちょっと分かんなかったところとかあります。秋葉先生とかなんかコメントとかありますか。今のところでちょっと説明してあげるとか。
いやいやいや、私はゲストなのである。
I'm gonna keep going.
質問があるけど。
So I took this class, the proof of past and future lives, and I thought that the information that the monk was teaching was very interesting. So I continued to study with him. Now the course of study I did was if you were to go to Tibet or India, really India today, and study in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery, you do the start to finish, maybe take you 10, 15 years to do. So I did the same study. But I did it translated from English. So my teacher took the Tibetan books, translated them to English, and then taught me.
チベット仏教をどうやって学んだかというその話で、その前のきっかけっていうのは前世とか来世とかを習いたくて、たまたまそういうのを2週間習う機会があって、その後にチベットに行ったって話で、その前の話をまとめると、合気道を習ってる時に日本でその先生がアシタンガヨガもちょっとやってたんで、クロストレーニングに対して両方やったバックグラウンドがあって、あとはニューヨークの大学でフィルムスクールに行って、その間に日本に来たりとか、そういうバックグラウンド。
Yeah. So I did the whole course of study you do basically. I have a PhD in Tibetan Buddhism basically.
PhD 博士号ね、チベット仏教を持ってます、ね。そういう監督さんなんで、そういう学者みたいな勉強もされています。
So you know today, if you take the time of the Buddha from today until today, the Buddha taught, and then the Buddha's students taught, and then the Buddha's students taught, and then the Buddha's students taught, right? Up until today.
Just like Yoga Sutra.
Just like Yoga Sutra.
今の話はその要するにブダって何だっけ日本語で。ブッダっていうのはどうやって仏教を教えたかっていうと、弟子に教えて、そのまた弟子が教えて、その語り継ぐみたいな感じね。で、多分ヨガスートラっていうのも同じところがあって、パタンジェリー先生がいて、You have Patanjali students same way, right?
So my teacher shook hands with his teacher. His teacher shook hands with his teacher. So I have warm hand teaching from today until the time of the Buddha. 43 generations.
45ゼネレーションでこう語り継がれて先生からずっと過去までつながってるって話ですね。
So my hand touched his hand, his hand touched his hand.
手をで
To the time of the Buddha.
みんなこう語り継ぐときにこうやって手でつないでやってきて。
But if you go back maybe 1,000 years, the Buddhist teachers and disciples and the yoga teachers in India were the same. And I don't know, maybe Sensei, we have Nagarjuna. I don't know if it's in the Japanese Buddhist tradition, but there's one Indian teacher, Nagarjuna, who lived maybe 1,000 years ago. Nagarjuna in India.
Maybe that's his question, sir.
Yeah, so those two lineages touched.
What do you mean by two?
仏教とインドのつながりをちょっとルーツなんです。
I know in Japanese Buddhism, I think it's the more esoteric or Tantra school that connects.
なんかちょっと maybe we can have this comment.
I mean, if he's interested.
なんかありますね。
ブッダもヨガ教授。
He thought Buddha was yoga master.
Yeah. Before he became the Buddha, he practiced yoga.
Still, some of the Japanese temple priests they practice yoga.
So, this
日本のお寺でも僧侶の方でヨガやってる方意外といるんですよね。
So I spent 12 years studying Tibetan Buddhism, and then after I finished the undergraduate, my teacher says to me, "Now you have to practice yoga." I said, "What do you mean I have to practice yoga?" It says yoga and Buddhism are one.
要するに、アンダーグラフ学生の時にチベット仏教とかがあって、それ終わった後に先生がヨガをやるんです。なぜって聞いたら、ヨガもそういう仏教ももともとのルーツは一つだ。
But in Tibet, yoga is the secret Buddhism. It's Tantra. They don't talk about it.
チベットではヨガっていうのは密教っていうのかな、秘密の仏教っていうのかな、でタントラっていうやつで、だから日本みたいにちょっと違うんですね。
So my teacher's teacher, he was Tibetan. And when his teacher said this to him, he said, "Your secret is yoga? I have bad news for you. There's 20 million people in America practicing your secret."
だからチベットの先生とはヨガは秘密なんですよって言ったんだけど、でもアメリカでは20万人の人がヨガをやっているから秘密じゃありませんよってそういう会話をしたんですね。
And he thought his teacher was going to be upset.
そうしたら多分チベットの先生はすごい怒るだろうし。
But he said, "No, that's fantastic. That means there's 20 or 30 million reincarnated yogis in America."
リンダ先生で戻ってきた20万人のヨガの人がいるからすごいいいですね。
And if you think about Tibet, in the 50s, 60s, Chinese invaded, right? And many monks died. Right? Many monks died. People that meditate, serious meditators, serious yoga people, right? So if reincarnation is possible, and if they're really good at it, of course they reincarnate in America, not Tibet.
今の話はそのチベットで60年代とかに中国から戦争っていうか攻めみたいなのがあってその時の紛争の時にたくさんの人が死んだけれども輪廻転生っていうのを信じてれば多分チベットで死んだ人たちは次はチベットで生まれないでアメリカで生まれるでしょう。そういう話。
And I don't know if you read the news, but China just said that the Dalai Lama must reincarnate in China.
By the way, we also have some students from China.
No problem, no problem. I'm not against China. This is not a problem. This is the fact.
Yeah. Liberal school we have.
Yeah. But so then they know, right? They say Dalai Lama must reincarnate in China.
And Dalai Lama has to be Dalai Lama again, right?
Yes, yes.
No choice.
No choice. But Dalai Lama says he will not reincarnate in China if they force him. He said, "I will not reincarnate at all." So that's a game. That's just a game. But it's interesting, right? So some people take reincarnation very seriously, right? Not that you have to. Either you come back or you don't. So my teacher said I must practice yoga. So then I started practicing yoga and really sort of cross-training with Aikido. And then I saw, after spending all this time studying Tibetan Buddhism, which is really karma and emptiness, those two things, I wanted to really deepen my understanding. So I tried to put that all into the film, sort of as my graduate work.
カーマって宿命、それからエンプティネスってカラー。
Oh, so we should do the pen thing. This is important.
From the movie.
So emptiness is the most important thing in Buddhism, I think. Karma and emptiness together. But emptiness is maybe difficult to understand with our mind because our mind resists it. So what is this? Oh, pen. So when my eye looks at the pen, I think the pen is here by itself, going this way, right? I think it exists by itself. Like if I leave the room, I think the pen stays there. And when I come back to the room, the pen is still there, right? That's how my mind works, right? So if there's a pen here by itself, exists by itself, I should be able to touch the pen with my finger, right? Right? I should touch the pen with my finger, right? Right now I hold the pen, right? But if we look more closely, it's harder to find the pen, not the pen, right? Not the pen. This we could say it's still a pen, right? It still functions, still writes. But if I look more closely, there's a little ball, there's a barrel, and there's ink, right? So I'm really holding the barrel, right? There's a ball, a barrel, and ink. So where is the pen? That thing you think of as a pen, where is it? It's not here going this way. It's here going this way, right? I can't touch the pen. Impossible. I can't touch a pen. I can write with a pen, right? So this is the idea of emptiness, that everything's available, right? So the reason this is important is because of karma. So I see a pen, I project a pen. The Yoga Sutra says because of how I treat other people in the past. So if I gave people pens in the past, I can see a pen. If I don't give people pens, if I just take pens, if I steal pens, in the future I don't see any pens. If I'm really bad, the thing is my body and my mind are the same as the pen. Too fast? It's okay. My body and my mind are the same as the pen, right? Is Zorie koko desu ka? Chigau. Koko? Oh, maybe. Koko? Oh, maybe. So my body is a projection, just like the pen. My fingers are a projection, just like the pen. And so we would say, Yoga Sutra would say, because I have good karma. I treated other people in the past, so I have a hand. If I don't treat people right, my next projection, I see a paw. You think of reincarnation, you think, oh, maybe you get born as an animal. It's not like you get stuffed into an animal's body. Your projection changes. And all of a sudden you see your hands as paws.
わかりました? Maybe just for test and help others,
Yeah.
maybe we ask students maybe rephrase this.
Yeah.
ちょっと今の話で
This is like our mind doesn't want to get this. And just one more point, okay? So if you saw the film, it's called the Yoga Sutra, right? So you have to ask, what is yoga? Right? What is yoga? The Yoga Sutra says that it says yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is stopping how the mind turns things around. So my mind is turning this around, and I think it exists out there. My mind is turning my own body around, and I think it exists as something real, something solid. But I can't touch the pen, right? I can't touch myself. So yoga is changing how your mind sees the world. So when you walk outside of here, you see the world is coming this way. I mean, the world is coming this way, actually. It's a reflection. It's like an echo. It goes out and back.
今のなんか質問とかありますか? ヨガでどう物事を見てるか、世界を見てるか、ここで見てるのか、外からそういう話なんだけど、なんかわかんないこととか、こういうのそういう質問はある? Any questions?
Yes.
More just, can you speak us a little bit louder so that everybody can hear?
What, the idiot theory? Baka theory?
Anybody from social studies?
What theory?
Idiot. Yeah, I hear the name, but I don't know.
Oh, so about Plato's like idyllic
Ah,
thoughts,
so
where it's like
Platonic solids?
yeah,
Okay.
where you have a table, but you can't like pin down what the table is.
Okay.
Like you're like, oh, it's a flat surface with
Yes.
4 legs, and then I show you like a table with 3 legs, and you're like, oh, that's still a table. Well, if we have a table with no legs,
Yes.
that's still a table, so you can't like grasp.
Yeah, we say general and specific, but yes. Okay. Just about there. Yeah. It's similar except that in the Platonic idea, I think Plato's still saying that it exists by itself. That table, although you described it wrong, or although you can't apprehend it in its totality, still has self-existence in that, I believe, in that world. And that difference is the subtle and the difficult. That's the difficult part. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not an educated philosopher necessarily. So I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
It's interesting in general how this idea of emptiness and perception also, I guess, coincides with some of the ideas in Western philosophy, like Plato's ideas. Another example is like the ship metaphor. It's basically, say you have a ship that's sailing, and it's a very rough journey, so let's say the mast breaks down and you fix the mast. You take some piece of wood, you make a new mast and you replace the mast. Yeah. And then let's say the steering wheel breaks down, so you replace the steering wheel. So by the end of the, let's say, 10-year-old journey, you will have replaced all of the bits of the ship. And the question is like,
so what makes a ship?
Yeah. Is the ship still the same ship, or like what bit of the ship was the actual ship?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you take that metaphor and you apply it to, say, the body. Yeah. Like let's say we start changing bits of the body, we replace you an arm or a leg.
Yeah. So where are you?
Yeah, where are you? And then your brain, for example, is constantly changing. If you look at the neurons, if you sleep, when you sleep and when you go to bed and when you wake up, the inner composition of your brain is totally different. Yeah. So like,
so where are you?
Changed, or where are you? Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's another way to think about it. It's another. See, the concept of emptiness, it's very slippery. Our mind wants to slip off it all the time. So there's different ways to attack it. That's one of them. You know, if I were to offer you to change, and not that your body isn't perfect, but we could give you a perfect body, you know, no problem. Okay. If we could change your mind, give you a perfect mind, okay, no problem. So then where are you? You know, it's a good question. Here's a very quick exercise we can do, okay? Just to try and grasp some of this. It's that imagine you have a bag, right? Could be like a gomi sack, right? Imagine you have a bag. It's a special bag. You can put everything in the whole world can go inside of it. Okay? So, you know, this goes in there, this goes in there, everything, the university goes in there, Tokyo goes in there, and it's a magic bag, right? You can, okay? You take the planet Earth, you put that inside of the bag, okay? It's got everything in it. You take all the different planets in the solar system, put that inside the bag, right? You take the sun, you put it in the bag. You take every sun and you put it in the bag. What do you have left? Space. Right? You have space. So you take space, put that in the bag. What do you have left? Black, 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 black. Right? But then something pops up. You still think that black is something. Put that in the bag. What do you have left? But your mind's going to think of something else. So you just keep putting it in the bag. But in between that moment where everything's in the bag and you have, nothing. You have nothing still. Nothing's a concept, right? Put that in the bag. So for a moment, your mind has a little gap. But it fills it in. So what does this have to do with yoga? Right? So what? So if yoga is stopping how the mind turns things around, why do I have to stretch? Right? So let's talk about the 8 limbs of yoga for a moment.
今のはこういうのがヨガの動きと何が関係あるのかっていうんで、今8リムっていうパタンジャリー、アシタンガ8リムですね。Just the 8 limbs.
Yeah, Ashtanga, 8 limbs. Yeah.
ヨガで教科書でマラバ読んだ人は I actually send them a message about them.
Okay.
I haven't taught them, but I refer to them in a message.
Okay.
マラバで送ったのを8人ぐらい見てない人がいるんだけど、他の人は多分見たと思うんだけど、教科書のページに8項目っていうのがあって、それのことをエイトリムっていうんだけれども。
So, and just one point here that I want to make is that's really important is that, you know, what your yoga teacher teaches you about yoga, that's what's correct. Okay? I'm not your yoga teacher. Okay, I'm going to share with you my ideas today. And some of them are not really my ideas, but I'm going to share with you the ideas that I learned. But they could be incorrect compared to what your teacher teaches you. So if I say something and it contradicts what he says, he's your teacher, you listen to him. Okay, I think that's really important. You know, you have too many teachers, it's no good. So, but let's just go through the Ashtanga. So they say there are 8 limbs in yoga, okay? Does anyone know what they are?
You're talking about yama, niyama.
Yeah, yeah. So yama, niyama,
これね、教科書にある。見てないと思うけど。
asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Right? So each of these limbs, it's a progression. Right? So does anyone know what yama is? Yama. We say yama, we say means non-harming. Don't hurt. Right? So why, how is this a part of yoga? Right?
Because if you hurt somebody, then you create bad karma for yourself and for the person that you hurt. So it's like you need to avoid bad karma.
So there's a lot of ways to think about this. But if you start practicing yoga, your life's going to change. It has to. That's the whole purpose. Yoga is going to change your body. It's going to change your mind, and it's going to make all the karma you've had in the past. It's going to get faster. It's going to grow more quickly. So yama is, in a way, it's the safety. It protects you. So if you stop harming others, then you don't see yourself get harmed. Okay? So it's basically, you can think about if it's a garden, you're going to stop planting weeds. You want a beautiful garden? Why are you planting weeds? Right? You're going to stop planting things you don't want. Make sense? Okay? Then niyama, that's, you do good things. You want a nice garden? You start planting the things that you want. You want roses, you plant roses. Right? And it means helping others, basically. Okay? So you can think about like yama, like clears your path, and niyama makes it smooth. Okay? And then asana, the postures. Okay? Now remember that the goal of yoga is stopping how the mind turns things around, right? So we've got to get from these postures to doing something to the mind. Has to be, right? So, let me say it to you like this. They say, in Tibetan, they say, lungsem jupa jipa, which means the mind and the breath move together like a rider on a horse. So if my mind is calm, my breathing is deeper, right? More relaxed. If I'm right? If my breath is excited, my mind is more agitated, right? So those two things move together, right? In the Indian inner body, they say we have 3 main channels: sun channel, moon channel, central channel. And they say prana is sometimes breath, but sometimes they say subtle energy, okay? But my thoughts ride on this subtle energy, like somebody on a horse. So, if I have all the prana here in my sun channel, it gets stuck, I'm very angry. I'm an angry person, like I'm in traffic, or in the subway and it's too crowded, I get angry. That's my prana's here in this channel, right? If I'm in love, so happy. So happy, oh, I'm in love.